Canada stands at a crossroads. Our nation, known for its vast landscapes and rich cultural tapestry, is now facing a pivotal moment in its history. The decisions we make today will reverberate through the corridors of time, influencing not just our economic standing but also our global identity and the values we hold dear. Our traditional allies in the West, the United States and Western Europe, are facing their own challenges. The once unshakable pillars of Western stability are now showing signs of strain. Political upheavals, economic uncertainties and social divisions are reshaping the landscape we once knew so well. The United States, under successive administrations, has adopted protectionist policies that have hurt Canadian industries. Tariffs and trade barriers have strained our economic ties, leaving many Canadian businesses in a precarious position. The ripple effects are felt across our manufacturing sectors, from automotive to agriculture. Across the Atlantic, Europe grapples with economic stagnation and uncertainty. The European Union, once a beacon of economic integration and prosperity, is now mired in debates over sovereignty, immigration, and financial stability. The Brexit saga has only added to the complexity, leaving the future of the European project in question. This leaves Canada with a crucial decision. Do we continue to align ourselves with these traditional partners, hoping for a return to stability? Or do we chart a new course, seeking alliances that reflect the changing dynamics of the global economy? Do we cling to the familiar embrace of the West, even as it seems to be turning inward? The historical ties and shared values with the West are undeniable, but can we afford to ignore the signs of inward-looking policies and economic protectionism? Or do we explore new partnerships, venturing into the uncharted waters of the East? The East, with its burgeoning economies and dynamic markets, offers opportunities that are both exciting and uncertain. The rise of Asia, led by China and India, presents a landscape of rapid growth and innovation. The rise of BRICS+, a bloc of emerging economies, presents just such an alternative. These nations, with their diverse cultures and economic models, are forging a new path in global trade and cooperation. Their collective strength and ambition could offer Canada a fresh perspective and new avenues for growth. This essay will delve into the complexities of this choice. We will explore the historical context, the current economic realities, and the potential future scenarios. By examining the past and present, we aim to shed light on the possible paths forward. We will examine the historical baggage of Canada's relationship with the United States and the economic realities of a faltering Europe. The deep-rooted connections and the shared history with our southern neighbor have shaped much of our economic and political landscape. We will then explore the potential of BRICS+, analyzing its strengths and weaknesses, the economic dynamism, the challenges of governance, and the opportunities for collaboration will be scrutinized to understand what this new alliance could mean for Canada. Finally, we will hear from experts and offer a perspective on the path forward for Canada. The stakes are high. The insights from economists, political scientists, and industry leaders will provide a comprehensive view of the potential risks and rewards. Canada's economic prosperity, its place in the world, and its very identity are all intertwined with this decision. The choices we make will define our role on the global stage and influence the lives of future generations. The path we choose today will shape our nation's destiny for generations to come. As we stand at this fork in the road, the weight of our decision is profound. The future of Canada, its values and its prosperity hang in the balance. Canada and the United States share the longest undefended border in the world. This border, stretching over 8,891 kilometers, is a testament to the peaceful coexistence and mutual respect that has characterized the relationship between these two nations for centuries. However, the story of Canada and the United States is not just one of friendship and cooperation. It is also a tale of economic rivalry and strategic maneuvering. But beneath the veneer of amicable neighborliness lies a history of complex and often contentious trade relations. The economic ties between the two countries have been both a source of strength and a point of friction. Trade agreements, tariffs, and economic policies have often sparked debates and disagreements, reflecting the underlying tensions in this otherwise friendly relationship. From early disputes over timber to more recent clashes over softwood lumber and dairy, the two countries have often found themselves at odds. The timber disputes date back to the 19th century when both nations were expanding their frontiers and exploiting natural resources. In more recent times, the softwood lumber dispute has been a recurring issue, with the United States imposing tariffs on Canadian lumber, arguing that Canadian producers are unfairly subsidized. The United States, with its massive economy, has often wielded its influence to protect its domestic industries, sometimes at the expense of Canadian producers. This dynamic has been evident in various sectors, from agriculture to manufacturing. American policies aimed at protecting domestic jobs and industries have often led to trade barriers that hurt Canadian exporters. The imposition of tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum under the Trump administration and the continued threat of such measures has cast a long shadow over the Canadian economy. These tariffs were justified on national security grounds, a move that many in Canada saw as a betrayal of the close economic and security partnership between the two countries. While some argue that these disputes are merely bumps in the road of a largely beneficial relationship, others point to a deeper pattern of American protectionism that has repeatedly harmed Canadian interests. Critics of U.S. trade policy argue that these measures are part of a broader strategy to maintain economic dominance and protect American jobs at the expense of its trading partners. This history of trade friction has led many to question the long-term sustainability of Canada's reliance on the United States as its primary economic partner. As Canada seeks to diversify its trade relationships, it faces the challenge of finding new markets and building new alliances in an increasingly competitive global economy. The changing political landscape in the United States, marked by rising nationalism and a retreat from multilateralism, has further fueled these concerns. The rise of protectionist policies and the growing influence of nationalist movements have made the future of Canada-US trade relations more uncertain than ever. As the United States turns inward, Canada is left to ponder its options in a world where its closest ally seems increasingly unreliable. The challenge for Canada will be to navigate this new landscape, balancing its economic interests with the need to maintain a strong and stable relationship with its powerful southern neighbor. The impact of U.S. protectionist policies on Canada has been significant and far-reaching. These policies aimed at protecting American industries have had unintended consequences for their northern neighbor. Canadian industries, particularly those in the manufacturing and resource sectors, have borne the brunt of these policies. The ripple effects have been felt across various sectors, leading to a cascade of economic challenges. The tariffs on steel and aluminum, for example, have resulted in job losses, plant closures, and increased uncertainty for Canadian businesses. These tariffs were intended to boost American production, but have instead disrupted the supply chains that many Canadian companies rely on. The dairy sector, long a point of contention between the two countries, has also been affected. Canadian dairy farmers who have traditionally enjoyed a stable market now face new challenges in exporting their products. American restrictions on Canadian dairy imports have limited market access for Canadian producers and created tensions within the industry. This has led to protests and calls for government intervention to support the struggling dairy sector. The automotive sector, a cornerstone of the Canadian economy, has not been spared either. The interconnected nature of the North American auto industry means that any disruption can have widespread consequences. The renegotiation of the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, which included stricter rules of origin for automobiles, has created uncertainty and added costs for Canadian manufacturers. These new rules require a higher percentage of car components to be made in North America, complicating the production process. Beyond the direct economic impact, these trade disputes have also strained relations between the two countries, eroding trust and goodwill. Diplomatic tensions have risen, making it harder to reach mutually beneficial agreements in the future. The uncertainty and unpredictability of U.S. trade policy have made it difficult for Canadian businesses to plan for the future, hindering investment and job creation. Business owners are left in a state of limbo, unsure of how to navigate the ever-changing landscape. This environment of instability has far-reaching implications not just for the present but for the long-term economic health of Canada. Section 4. Across the Pond. A continent adrift? While the United States grapples with its internal challenges, Western Europe, Canada's other traditional ally, is facing its own set of problems. The continent is mired in economic stagnation, with low growth, high unemployment, and mounting debt. The Eurozone crisis, which began in 2009, exposed deep structural flaws within the European Union, shaking confidence in its long-term viability. The rise of populism and nationalism in Europe has further complicated matters. Brexit, the United Kingdom's withdrawal from the European Union has created uncertainty and division within the bloc. The influx of refugees from the Middle East and Africa has strained resources and fueled social tensions. These challenges have diminished Europe's standing in the world and raised questions about its ability to play a leading role in global affairs. Its reliance on the United States for security, particularly in the face of Russian aggression in Eastern Europe, has further eroded its image as a global power. Section 5, BRICS Plus, the allure of the East. As the West seems to falter, the East, led by the BRICS Plus grouping, is rapidly gaining ground. BRICS Plus, which includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and other emerging economies, has emerged as a powerful economic and geopolitical force. This bloc now accounts for a significant portion of global GDP and trade, and its influence is only set to grow in the coming years. The BRICS Plus nations are home to vast populations, abundant natural resources, and rapidly growing economies. They are also investing heavily in infrastructure, technology, and innovation, positioning themselves as key players in the industries of the future. For Canada, BRICS Plus presents a tantalizing alternative to its traditional alliances. These nations offer vast markets for Canadian exports, particularly in the areas of energy, resources, and agricultural products. They also represent potential sources of investment and technological collaboration.